Today on Dream Garage, we visit a collection so big, one garage isn't enough. I'm your host, Ray Innings, and today we visit a Dream Garage where space isn't an issue. Mike has filled 3 dream garages with cars and countless memorabilia, with a strong focus on Volkswagens, Porsches, and Fiats.
I've been a car collector for many, many years. I started off as a VW Porsche mechanic, and then I later bought several new car dealerships and then got into the real estate business, but always had a passion for collecting cars.
Michael's passion for cars started at a young age, and his collection is what is keeping him young.
Ever since I was a small child, I loved cars. My dad had a Studebaker Speedster, and I loved driving in it. Back when I was in high school and all the kids were going to football games and high school dances, I was in my backyard working on cars, and it's been uphill from there on forward. I've been collecting all my life.
Like many dream garages, Michael has had a difficult time finding room for new vehicles in his collection.
I started out with this one main building, and I thought when I bought the property 5 years ago, I said, oh, I'll never fill this up. It took about a month and it was totally jammed. I had no room. Then I got a third warehouse in the back and filled it up, and then the building next door came available and we put the two together. Always a challenge when you're trying to put the vehicles in a garage like this. If space is no object, it'd be really easy to spread them out and design the floor plan to fit the cars. But when you have too many cars for the space, there's always a challenge in spacing them so you can get around, people can view them, see the beauty of the cars, and I just wish I had double the amount of space.
In addition to his massive car collection, Michael's Dream Garage has an office with a view.
I used to be in the car business. I was a new car dealer, and this is some of the furniture that I had in my dealership. But when I opened up my little private garage, I brought some of my furniture because I thought, well, what a beautiful place to work. I can sit here, look at my cars while I'm doing work, and very relaxing. So not too special, but a lot of fun.
Not far from the open-air garage is a garage within a garage from a totally different era.
We have a vintage garage, a 1950s vintage garage, so we tried to find items one would have back in the 50s that they would, if you got a new TV, you would throw the old TV away. You'd put it in the garage. Back in the day, I don't think people threw away things. They treasured what they had, and they always had a place for it, so we tried to duplicate that. We even have an old refrigerator here. This is a 20s or early 30s refrigerator, but still working. You can still have an ice cold Coca-Cola if you wish. Boy, it works so good they're frozen.
Michael's 50s garage is an exact replica of the Petersen Auto Museum's 1950s garage exhibit. From the cars to the old TVs, it's all the same.
I like to go back in time. For example, this kitchen here is a 1950s kitchen. The appliances, the refrigerator behind me is a 56 Kelvinator. The signage, the neon here, the collectibles, the color TVs, the black and white TVs are things that would have been built and bought in the day that these vehicles were new. So I try to surround myself in the garage with not just the cars, but things that you would have had in the day.
Most of the cars in Michael's collection have some significance in automobile history. Some cars were once well known and are waiting to be discovered again.
In my garage, there's a wide variety of cars, all the way from microcars like Messerschmitts, Isettas, to Woody station wagons and everything in between. As you can see in the collection here, the sweet spot is Porsche and Volkswagen. And I remember when I met my wife, I pulled up in a VW bus with a mattress in the back to take her out on her first date. Her parents came out of the house and says, "You're not taking our daughter out in this." I said, no, we surf. This mattress is just when we get tired, we just rest. Your daughter will never go back there. So anyway, they bought it and I ended up marrying her. But as far as the collection goes, you see I have a number of buses because in my career, I love the buses. They're very utilitarian. You can use the bus to take the whole family out, like a 9-passenger over there. Or if you want to go camping, there's campers. I think Volkswagen was very creative in their day as far as the products that they built, and now they're iconic collectibles. We also have here some really unique cars, like this is a first year of the Karmann Ghia convertible 58, and most of these cars here are prize-winning cars in the VW community. They've won a lot of prizes for their correctness, their style, and mainly the beautiful job of the restorations that were done. Yet, you can always restore a car. Anybody can restore a car, it's just a matter of how much money you want to spend. What I find very interesting and challenging is when you can find a car that's never been restored and that's in good shape. A lot of people say, well, you know, the car's never been restored, this is original, but it's a piece of junk. Well, I'm not interested in a car that looks like that looks like it's been rolled over a few times. It may be original, but it's not a good example. Where this car here, car's all original. Paint, interior, this is a 59 Karmann Ghia Coupe. Original paint, original interior. And this belonged to, I bought it from a young couple, but it was their grandfather's car, and it was their pride and joy. And they were mainly concerned with finding, not so much with the money, even though I paid decent money for the car in its day, they were more concerned with what's going to happen to the car. And I told them I have a museum, private museum, and it'll be well taken care of. And here it is. All original, paint, interior, motor's never been out in it. You get in the car, it rides just like a brand new car. There's a big difference from a car that's been restored versus a car that's original. They just, for some reason, ride better. Being a former VW mechanic, I can't tell you why for sure, but I think there's something when a car has never been taken apart and is in good condition, it's going to give you a special riding experience versus a car that's been taken apart in a million pieces and patched back together. We do have some other examples like that. Like, for example, if you look at that beige bus right there, that's a 67 called the last year of the split window bus. And what's unique about that bus there, it's also unrestored, 8,000 original miles, still has original wheels and tires on the car. And if you were to go up there and film the inside, it looks like it's never been sat in. And that vehicle was, I got it about 20 years ago, and there was an ad in Hemmings Motor News, and it said VW bus 67, 8,000 miles. So I called the gentleman up. I said, oh, when was the car restored? He says, no, it's never been restored. I said, well, you're kidding me, it's 8,000 miles since new? He says, yeah. I said, well, explain that to me. I find that hard to believe. He says, well, I bought the car for my family, and we would go on a camping. The car's from Pennsylvania, and he said we'd go on a camping trip once a year. I'd take the car out, we'd go 100 or 200 miles, and then I'd service it and put it away. And I did that year after year until the kids got too old and didn't want to camp anymore, and that's why I'm selling it. So, kind of unique. I feel really special to have something like that, a car, again, that's never been restored, a car that the way it came from the manufacturer. Okay, Barney's having fun there. This is Barney, my dog, and he gets a little jealous when he's not getting attention. All right, go get it, Barney. Barney gets to ride in all the cars. He's a special German Shepherd. He gets to go in all of them.
That's a whole lot of rides for one lucky dog.
What is unique about the collection, besides the Volkswagens, is the Porsche. As you know, they're one family, Porsche and Volkswagen. In fact, ownership of Porsche is the Volkswagen factory right now. They were always intertwined because Dr. Porsche, the designer of Volkswagen, also designed the Porsche. This was his brand name and his logo. The oldest Porsche in the collection is this 1954 sunroof. They call it a bent window coupe. This car is called the Continental. And what American car used the same brand name? Lincoln Continental. Well, kind of unique story. Porsche came out in 1955 with this car. They never had names on their cars in the past. They were always called the Type 541 or 356 or whatever. Well, what's unique, they decided for the U.S. market to name this car the Continental. Well, right after they came out with the name and shipped the cars to the U.S., they got a letter from Ford Motor Company. Said, you know, that's our name, and if you continue to use that name, we'll be suing you. Well, little company Porsche wasn't going to fight a giant like Ford Motor Company, and they ceased and desist. So they ran this nameplate for I think about 6 months, and that was it. And so that was the end of the Continental. If we look at Porsche, I think I have a pretty good several examples of the early cars and the cars that put Porsche on the map. As we said, their oldest car is the 55 Continental, but we have a 59 sunroof. You notice all of my coupes here have sunroofs. I happen to like accessories, and I wanted all my coupes, so I would not buy a coupe, unless it had a sunroof. This is a 912, basically the same body style, but with a 4-cylinder engine, the same engine, pretty much same engine that were in the SCs. Really nice California example. We restored it here. Had original paint on it when we bought it, but it did need paint, so we put paint, interior, and freshened up the motor. And it's, I think, a very good example of one of the early cars. Next, we have Targa, which is another body style of Porsche. They didn't make convertibles in the early cars, so this was their idea of a convertible. This top comes off, and this is a 69. They came out in 67 with the Targas, and the top, you can unlatch it, it'll fold up, and you can put it in the trunk, and you kind of have a convertible. This roll bar stays fixed, and it was a safety item. You had a convertible, yet if you rolled the car, you were protected. The next car here is a 69 912. It's one of the last years of the original 912s. And what's unique about this car, it's another original car. Hard to find an original Porsche, because Porsches were used as sports cars and got beat up, and there's not too many original cars around. This is original paint, original interior, and a beautiful example of 912.
The Fiats are a recent addition to Michael's collection. And in one case, the Fiat was a precursor to an American classic.
Somehow I got stuck on Fiats a while back, and I think they're unique cars. They've got a unique history. They were the Volkswagen of Italy, you might say. The oldest car in the collection is this one right here, a 1933 Fiat Roadster, and this won an award in Pebble Beach 2 years ago, which was kind of unique. I was up against Fiats 4 times the size of this, and we didn't think we'd win anything, but we did get an award, and there's the trophy back there, and it was a great experience. Little Fiat Woody, 1950, and these were special-bodied Fiats. Reminds me of a shrunken-down Ford Woody. How could we not mention the Fiat Jolly? These cars were built for fun. In other words, if you had a yacht, a beach house, you wanted to have one of these. They even sold them to hotels to take clients to their hotel rooms. Easy to get in, easy to get out. And these cars are quite valuable. They've sold as much as $140,000, so it's hard to believe that a car like this would sell for that kind of money. This car here is one of the rarest cars in the collection of Fiats. This is a Fiat Alemano. Alemano was a body maker, so just like Carroll Shelby would customize cars for Ford, Alemano would get the chassis from Fiat, build their own body, aluminum body, and then Abarth running gear. Abarth was a tuner for Fiat, and they built this little car. It's got some beautiful gauges inside. It's got a wonderful engine, Abarth motor. They took the standard Fiat motor and hopped it up. You can see it's got headers, bigger carburetor, modified head. And they used to race these cars back in the day. There's only 5 examples made, I believe, of the convertible. Most of them were fastback coupes. Another special car, this is a Fiat little truck. Tailgates goes down, the sides go down, and again, suicide doors. But what a cute little example. I think people say, Mike, well, you're a Porsche guy, what are you doing with stuff like this? When you go to a car show and you bring something like this, again, people smile, and they don't see anything like this. You can see a bunch of red Ferraris, but see a car like this gets lots of attention.
After World War II, Europe was in ruins, and people had little money to buy cars or even fuel the ones they had. This gave way to microcars. They were cheap to make and incredibly fuel efficient.
People always ask me when they visit the garage here, they say, what are you doing with these cars? microcars. What are they? Are they kids' toys? I said, not really. These were actually transportation. Back in Europe, after the war, they didn't have a lot of money to purchase cars, and they didn't have a lot of money for fuel. So they built these alternative transportation vehicles. Like, for example, this Messerschmitt, it's called a Messerschmitt, holds 2 people, and it'll get 100 miles per gallon. And here's how you get in. Open sort of like a airplane canopy, and you get in. One person can sit in the front, and you get 1.5 in the back. 100 miles per gallon, 2-cycle, 1-cylinder. Weren't very expensive, and now they're very, very collectible. This little Vespa 400 cc's is all original, unrestored. This is original paint from 1958, original interior. And the vehicle only has 600 miles from new. You can look inside and see the interior, see the rubber floor mats. I mean, it's like a time capsule, like somebody put it in a closet. Pretty unique to find something original like this. The car that put BMW, or got them out of bankruptcy, was the Isetta. Very popular. Urkel had one in its series. And what's unique about this car is how you enter it. The steering wheel moves away as you open the door. Quite roomy. Could fit 2 people in the front very nicely. It does about 55 miles per hour. Very good gas mileage, over 50 miles per gallon. And it might be the precursor to the Smart, you might say, Smart car. But the BMW was going out of business. They didn't have a lot of money, so in desperation, they bought the rights from Isuzu, which was an Italian manufacturer. They put their BMW, changed the body a bit, put a BMW motorcycle engine, and they sold 200,000 of these in various versions.
In 1955, the BMW Isetta was the top-selling 1-cylinder car with 166,728 units sold.
This is our second garage here, and this garage we concentrate on the Japanese cars. We have, I think they hold a unique part of history, the way they broke into the American market, and their cars were a bit crude to start out with, and then now they're obviously big competitors. And then we have some German cars and some Italian cars here also. Well, I'll start out with this car. This car is very special to me. Back when I was a Volkswagen dealer in the early 80s, I saw one of these 220 Cabriolet A's at a car show in Newport Beach. And I loved it. I just thought it was just unique. It was the same color as this car. A gentleman by the name of Jim Weens owned it. And I said, man, I got to buy one of those. Well, I asked Jim at the time, this was 35 years ago, I said, Jim, how much is that car worth? And would you sell it? He said, I'd consider it, Mike. He says, I'd want $50,000. Well, back 35 years ago, I couldn't afford that. I said, out of my price range. So I was searching through the LA Times, and I found an ad, and it had 2 of these for sale, all in pieces, for $6,000. They're just parts, just chassis and bodies. And I took the 2 cars and made 1 car, took 2 stalls in my VW agency, hired a couple guys from the East Coast, and myself and the 2 gentlemen. We worked on this car for a year, restoring it. And I said to the 2 gentlemen, I said, I want to paint the car. I've never painted a car before, and it's painted lacquer, and I painted this car 35 years ago, and still has the original paint that we put on 35 years ago. And only car in the collection that I did a full restoration. We've restored a lot of cars, but having employees do it, but this is one I did myself with the help of a couple of gentlemen. Our next vehicle is, I think, one of the prettiest vehicles ever produced. It's an Alfa Romeo Sprint Speciale 1961. And if you look at the lines, aerodynamically, in its day, it was the most aerodynamically built vehicle. Beautiful lines. The gas tank filler is in the trunk. They didn't want to put it on the outside to create friction. You couldn't get it from the factory with a mirror because that would create friction. Outside mirror, wind deflector. And if you look at the lines of this vehicle, I think it's one of the most beautiful cars built. Now we get into a modern car, a Toyota, believe it or not. This is a 2000 Toyota GT. It wasn't built in 2000, it was called the 2000 GT because it's a 2-liter engine. This is a 1968. They built 54 cars for the US, left-hand drives. The total production from 67 to 70 was 351 cars, and that was it. When I bought it, I set, I think, a world record as far as paying for it, and then 6 months later, one sold for double what I paid, so I'm pretty happy that I bought the car, and now they're kind of a wanted car in any important collection. I mean, this was the first Japanese supercar. Dual overhead cab, 3 carburetors, Solix carburetors, 6-cylinder, and called the Toyota 2000 GT. But did Toyota build it? Nope, Toyota didn't build the car. The car was built by Yamaha. Yamaha built the whole car, including the motor.
Japanese automakers were well behind their American counterparts. Early examples had a difficult time competing with their early competitors. They were able to grow their brands by providing more affordable alternatives. And Michael has found an interest in their evolution.
All right, well, these are our Japanese cars in the collection, and the first one here is one of the first sports cars that were produced by the Japanese. This is a 1500 Datsun. Nissan was called Datsun back then. Then they came out with the next generation, which was a Z. This is a 1970 Z, the first year. And this car has 30,000 miles from new, and it's all original. It's never been restored. So they sold a lot of those, and they're a fabulous car, very collectible in this day and age. Now this car here is a U.S. car. This is one of the first cars in 1971, but they came out in 70, but basically the same shape. Z600 Coupe. Nice example here, but this is a 2-cylinder car, basically a motorcycle engine, and these were Honda's entry into the U.S. I'm a Woody fan, and we have some, I think, special Woodies here in the collection. 47 Pontiac Woody, and this won a class award at Pebble Beach in 2006, this Pontiac here. Just beautiful. It was done by Chris Massano Woodworks, and I had to get this vehicle away from him, I had to give him 4 cars plus cash. So really nice car. Then again, another special vehicle. Back when I was a kid, this was a vehicle that came into our neighborhood and delivered donuts and fresh bakery goods. You'd hear this sound and we'd all come running out. That was the Helms guy, and you can see in the back here, this is the kind of goodies that they would deliver. So I remember our Helms man, his name was Herb, and Herb would come by, I remember one day, and had a bunch of buddies over, and we went in the back, filled up a bunch of bags of jelly donuts and whatever, and it came to paying, and I think the bill was $1.50, and I didn't have $1.50. So I said, Herb, my mom will pay you tomorrow. He said, Mike, I know where you live. I'm gonna come and get you if you don't pay. So I went home that day, and I said, told my mom, I said, your mom, you need any work done around the house? She said, okay, what'd you do? I said, well, you know, we owe Herb a little money. Oh, she said, okay, mow the lawn. I need $1.50. So that's how it works. So great memories in the day. A lot of guys just collect Porsches, or they collect Corvettes, or they just collect Ferraris. I'm all over the board because I see beauty in all makes and models of cars.
This Dream Garage delivers a great automotive education. Hours can be spent in Michael's Dream Garage learning how these cars came to be and how they influence the future. Join us next time for more Dream Garages.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.